Good morning and welcome to the Market Forecast. My name is John Hoagland. Thanks for trusting me with your time. It is Thursday, May the 27th. Lots of data already out this morning. Should be an interesting trading day. Hopefully, if you are already in the markets, you've got things going your way. It's always interesting on days when there's a lot of data that comes out between when I sit down and start thinking about the markets, what happens when the releases do come out, and then how things change. So just to dive right in this morning, the durable goods orders, GDP preliminary came out, as well as the jobless claims numbers came out. So taking a look at those for what it's worth, the GDP not coming out as well as expected. They were looking for 6.5, came out at 6.4, no revision to last month. We have also durable goods orders considerably worse than expected. They were looking for 0.7%, came out negative 1.3%. Core durable goods, however, came out a little bit better than expected. So the main number a little bit better than they were really looking for. I think where the numbers are really important this morning are in the jobless claims. Initial jobless claims we were looking at 425,000 new jobless claims, only 406, and with a revision down from last week's number. I think that's going to be very important for us. Of course, in the continuing jobless claims, considerably lower, as well as another revision to the downside from last week. So some pretty decent numbers, I think, so far this morning. Numbers kind of reacting in different directions. It's going to be another interesting and challenging trading day. As far as the news is concerned, apparently the U.S. and China have begun talking trade again for the first time since the January inauguration. This should be interesting. And a year and a half after the beginning of the pandemic, are we finally showing signs of serious investigations into the true origins of the virus? We can only hope. It seems that the last of earnings season is upon us today. At least some of your, more impactful shares. This morning, we had Best Buy come out better than expected. Lenovo came out a little bit better than expected. After the close today, we're looking for Costco, a little store that I have trouble getting out of without spending three digits. Salesforce, Dell, Hewlett Packard, and Ulta. So some good stuff coming out after the close this afternoon. As always, remember to like, share, comment, question, feedback, and heckling are always welcome. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And looking briefly at the VIX, the Dixie, and the 10-year yield, VIX just about dead even at 1748. The dollar index really just dead even at 90.04, back above that 90 level yesterday. And the 10-year yield with a bit of an uptick this morning at 1.61%. Always have to say good morning, my brother Rick. You win the prize again. Although today I won't be bringing it personally. Theo, it's good to see you. Brian, Vince, good morning. Richie, Murph, good morning. James, Bill, Trading Research, Lamus, Caesar, Sunil, Greg. It is always a good day to win. Love the positivity. George, good to see you. JD, the Dancing Bear, the infamous Felix Escobar, Nicholas, Jay, Laura, good morning, Colin, Tim, Josiah, Murph, I'm just a simple guy. I live from day to day. A ray of sunshine melts my frown and blows my blues away. I recognize that lyric. I'm just having trouble placing it. Just a simple guy, live from day to day. It'll come to me, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see. See how bright I am today. Jim, good morning. Andres, Mr. Shine's Mystery Channel, good morning. The chef, Mr. Magianes, is here. Jason, Amanda, Costco gets me every time too. I know. I try and get out of there for under $100, and it does. I'm very unsuccessful at that. That store is just. I like their meats. That's it. That's it. Out on the Tiles. That's such a great song. That's it. After the recap, I am playing that song. I have it on vinyl. What a great song. Great song. Excellent, Murph. I got the chills now. I'm so excited to listen to that after the forecast as the equities open up. Hope it doesn't incite me to overtrade. Yikes. All right. So taking a look here into our charts. Let me get set up here a little bit. Kind of a couple of cool things we talked about yesterday morning that played out nicely. Some things that we've got going on this morning. We do have a couple of rollovers to remind you of. We have the treasuries and gold rolled over. So we're going to be looking at the next month in those products. In gold, it's August. In treasuries, it's September. So let's take a look now into the crude oil, which still remains in the July contract, to see if we have any good ideas or opportunities. Seems to be holding pretty well above weekly kickoff high. Let's go ahead and have a look, shall we? All right. So here it is. We can see we've got 3 days being supportive by weekly kickoff high here, that 65.50 level. We added 39,000 in open interest yesterday. Now, are we coming into rollover right now? No, not really. That's an impressive number for an increase in open interest. The first 6 or 7 contract months added open interest. I think the highest number was, let's see, July, August, September added 20,000 of that 39,000 in open interest. So it's looking like there's going to be some interest, of course, in crude oil through the summer months here, and that's good news for us as far as day traders are concerned. The 65.50, still supportive, if not slightly magnetic. We've got an inside extended trading hour range starting here this morning, which is kind of interesting. We had a 1.6 million barrel draw by the EIA yesterday, so I wasn't necessarily that involved in the markets. Those of you that saw, popped up behind Dan in the market recap yesterday. I had to get up to take care of some business in the Lakes area, so here we go. Wow, look at this already. I'm gonna place a small bet and say the opening range is the low of this session. We had a move away from settlement. We talk about this all the time, don't we, Dan? 66.12 settlement. All of our overnight activity pushing short time frame traders into shorter and shorter positions on the open. What's the market do? Opens in range at the low of value, drives directly to settlement. It happens a lot. I wish I would have been set up for this because this is a pretty good move. This is, we're looking at 40 ticks so far. I could always start the day off very nicely with an extra 4 or 5 hondo in my account. So that's where we are here. Our initial move is back into value, back into the settlement price. Opportunities from here, I'm going to suggest trying to stay very patient. I don't want to fight any move that starts leaving the opening range at the low of the session. So I'm going to be, again, cautious, patient. We're basically driven right back to where the perception of a barrel of crude oil finished yesterday. Our opportunities, well, we do have an inside day. We've got yesterday's low, yesterday's high, value, low, settlement, point of control. Lots of things to look at. Be patient. And in these situations, I tend to try and make the I tend to try and get my best trade location first, because if it doesn't get there, often it sets up some sort of short time frame day structure that allows me to limit my risk moving forward. The mini S&Ps. All right. Yesterday morning, we were trading well above settlement. We talked about the idea that, opening in range and value, we had a pretty high target environment, high what I call it, a target-rich environment down here. We had settlement, we have point of control, we had our value low, and we had our day session low right in this area. I was looking at this because I was pretty sure there was going to be some fish there. Market opens, takes us right down to that level. Now, this is a pretty deep zone for this, but once it was rejected, we had a pretty decent move to the upside. What's it mean for us today? Well, we now have new information in the marketplace. The S&Ps were trading relatively close to, if not at settlement when the numbers came out. In range, in value, the numbers are being viewed as positive for the markets, at least right now. So we're going to be perhaps even opening with a gap to the upside. Where have we been supportive all week long? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday we broke out above last week's high. Last week's high supportive yesterday. Day before yesterday, last week's high supportive yesterday, supportive overnight. The market is seemingly able to accept through time higher pricing. And that's what the market does. When there's no bad news, the market does tend to just continue to grind higher. I'll be watching very carefully this morning to see if we open with a gap. I believe any overnight shorts have been reconciled. We may be getting a little bit long here, but we are coming into the regular trading hours, and there may be some information in the fact that pre-regular U.S. trading hours open, we've attracted more new buyers into this market. We added 15,000 in open interest on this swoop and pop yesterday. More energy coming into this marketplace. It's been 6 straight days of open interest increases, and we are 2 weeks from rollover. 2 weeks from rollover. As we get closer to rollover, the volume and open interest information will become more and more blurry. But I'm kind of impressed with the fact that we've been increasing volume at higher levels, increasing open interest, not necessarily volume. But we still have money coming into this market at these levels. That's encouraging for me for continuation to the upside. Of course, a failure at last week's high would be somewhat detrimental. What are we looking for as far as targets to the upside? 42.20 is our weekly kickoff high. We've got plenty of space, no major visuals like naked points of control to hold us there. It's just a matter of being able to take out these swing highs. Market doing a very good job of doing that so far. Kind of wishing I was in that market right now. NASDAQ. $66.20, yes. $66.12. I do tend to have a little bit of dyslexia sometimes, don't I, Murph? I apologize about that, folks. All right. So here's the NASDAQ. NASDAQ's a little bit of a different story. It's holding above last week's last week's high. We are also holding just below our weekly kickoff highs. So the S&Ps haven't quite gotten there yet. We've been able to see how the NASDAQ has been treating weekly kickoff high all week. Rejection, 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 rejection. Overnight shorts. Reconciling those overnight shorts right now. Wouldn't be surprised to see the market come all the way back to settlement here before our opening. It further complicates things, but there's going to be some opportunities today for those of us that remain patient and look for the right opportunity, the right levels to limit risk. Volume is pretty slow yesterday. We did add 2,200 in open interest, so money's still coming in, and apparently to the long side, holding price up against a rejection, a resistance area. We exhaust the sellers up here, and we may see another nice push to the upside. Let's take a look at the inability to. If we are unable to take out and hold above the weekly kickoff high from last week, from this week, I should say. I think my I'm having trouble speaking here this morning. There are some visual levels, and there's always visual levels. We saw some of those get kind of reached in the euro yesterday. We're going to see that shortly, but we've got last week's high. We've got naked points of control. There's gaps even down below that. Not suggesting that we're at risk of getting to those levels, but if the market does turn and head that direction, those are visuals that I'll be looking for the market to perhaps reach. Not suggesting that that's going to happen today. Now, in gold, I'm hoping that it is going to be a shining market this summer for gold as well, Vince. All right. So, obvious. Structure to the upside is good. We are now trading the August contract. August is Q. If you are looking, the symbol for August in futures is Q. There's a $2.50 premium to August from the previous contract. Volume and open interest are, of course, at this time going to be blurred by rollover. We lost 2,400 in open interest, maybe a little bit of profit taking as we kind of go through this rollover. Again, the volume is in August, so hopefully you are trading the August. Of course, we can see with our eyes upside structure remains. We're putting in higher highs, higher lows. Open interest may slow things down a little bit to that upside move. Let's see what we see on the 30 here. We're kind of holding last week's weekly high as support. We broke out above it here, held support here yesterday. I've got this circled here because this is a wonderful example of how the overnight longs, when price moves away from settlement, can bring price back to settlement. If there's no new buyers up at this level, all of these overnight longs tend to get a little bit nervous and push price back down towards the previous settlement price. Now, this last minute move to the downside occurred after 12:30 close yesterday. So it took all day for this move to complete itself. Do we have that situation now? Not necessarily. Settlement is 1903.80. That one I said right. We did maybe have some overnight shorts here. Down against a previous support level. Our opening range is the dead ass low from the overnight as well as the regular trading hour session, 1892. The market obviously getting nervous as they get too short down there, pushing price back up towards settlement, actually kind of reaching the value low from yesterday. I'm going to suggest, again, trying to stay patient with the opening range at the low of the session. I'm going to view this as a target-rich environment. Why? Even if it's a loss, I can severely limit the risk on this. If I get the opportunity, I would look for an execution down here. There may be some more fish down there for us to catch. The inability for us to hold and maintain price above last week's high brings us to weekly kickoff low, or weekly kickoff high, whichever. It's weekly kickoff. It's a previous weekly kickoff high. Our weekly kickoff high is all the way up here right now at 1934. So with that opening range at the low of the session here, as long as that holds, there's one thing that can happen. Two things. It can range here all day long, or it can continue a move to the upside. If it can't hold, there's opportunities and visuals for us to look for it to the downside. And the euro. Here's something we were talking about yesterday. Now, this is the 30-minute chart. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Let's take a look at what's going on in the daily. We lost a whole bunch of open interest on this push off of weekly kickoff high back down below last week's high, and a pretty good push to the downside. Now, currencies are also coming into rollover. The rollover date is the same as the S&P's 2 weeks from today. Keeping that in mind, what do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days of balance and short time frame control. Long liquidation indicated by that drop in open interest. Perhaps that's the beginning of rollover coming in, people readjusting their positions into the September contract. Take a look at the 30-minute. Now remember distinctly talking about the fact that we were going to be opening with a gap. If we weren't able to close the gap, which we were able to close. I don't think it actually even opened with a gap, but we came up to value low from yesterday, and we were talking about if we can't get above the last week's high, if we can't come back up here and retest up to settlement, then we're going to have some visual targets to look for on the way down in the fact of two naked points of control. We have this naked point of control, which we rambled right through. Looking for the best trade location would have had me looking to get out of shorts or even start thinking about looking for longs down here at this naked point of control, which ended up kind of as support in the overnight session. What do we have for today? We have no overnight inventory. We have no gap. We don't really have that much to lean on. So our overnight low becomes a little bit more important. Our overnight high becomes a little bit more important because I think we are still in short time frame control. Last week's low is a potential downside target. There's a naked point of control down here as well. As far as, the extremes of this balance area we've been in for 8 days, which would be our more important levels. I'm looking at this, kind of 120, 166, these swing lows as interesting areas. Below that, of course, last week's low. On the upside, if we were to head that direction, of course, we've got last week's high, and then we've got another weekly kickoff level just above that. So lots of things to think about, lots of things to look at here. Let's take a look at the 10-year, and we can get down to business. Okay, 10-year daily. We got a nice little uptick in rates in the overnight. So now we're rejecting higher prices. You can see how volume is finally coming into the September contract. We're still somewhat rollover controlled, losing 172,000 in open interest yesterday. On a day like this, that's definitely rollover. That's some people legging in, legging out, trying to move their contracts from the June contract to the September contract. We got a little down move coming here. Last week's high is going to be somewhat pivotal for us, in short time frame, even in a little bit of longer time frame. This move to the upside was a potential changer of market state. It has not changed. We're seeing higher highs, higher lows. The upside structure still remains. I don't think it's doing all that good of a job in doing anything with it. This morning, we've got a lot of overnight shorts. We've got value low as our current extended trading hour and regular trading hour low. Not necessarily a strong low here, but if our overnight shorts can't see sellers continue to move price lower, this might be one of those days where we might see price grind all the way back up to the last week's high, or even perhaps back to settlement. If we can't do that, if we can't close this gap relatively early, there's plenty to look at down below. A weekly kickoff low. We've kind of been organized. I think we've pretty much been covering naked points of control. We just went to this naked point of control to value low. It's an interesting spot down there. There may be some fish down there. We'll have to take a look and watch over the session today. It's going to be an interesting one. There's a lot of information for these markets to digest. Lots of information for all of us to digest. It's a pleasure to be back here with you today. I'm looking forward to finishing out the week strong. It's Thursday. We are rounding the far corner, the far turn here, coming up to the final furlong of the week tomorrow at Friday. Don't forget it is Memorial Day weekend this weekend. No trading on Monday. I'm giving everybody the day off. And don't forget to say a prayer for all of those who gave the supreme sacrifice so we can live the freedoms that we enjoy every day. So I am going to go bust out my Led Zeppelin album, get ready for the regular trading hour equity open. Let's take our deep breath. Stay humble, grateful, and creative in your trading today. Patience and out on the tiles. I think that's Zeppelin 3, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a long time we've been listening to that music, haven't we? Have a great day, everybody. ES reaching for the sky. Yeah, it certainly did take a pretty good stab to the upside there, didn't it? All right. Trade well, everybody. Dan will be back for the market recap at 3 o'clock. I won't be there this time, but I will be happy to see you here again on Friday. Sorry about missing group coaching yesterday. I feel terrible about that. That's one of my favorite parts of the week, but we will make up for it next week. Trade well, everyone. Have a great trading day. Get out there and profit.